Yo, what is good people? Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are back with another video. This time, camera comparison. Galaxy Z Fold 7 versus the Z Fold 6 versus the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We now have a new main wide 200 megapixel sensor. Is it going to match what the Ultra has to offer? Well, let's find out. We're going to test everything in terms of daylight and low light for pictures and videos, so sit back, relax, and let's get into this camera comparison. Okay, it is time to get this camera comparison under the way. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 versus the Z Fold 6 versus the S25 Ultra. Can this Fold 7 definitely show that it is now bringing an ultra camera experience now that it has that main 200 megapixel sensor, which is very similar to the S25 Edge and S25 Ultra? Well, let's put it through its paces. We are going to go through the pictures first and then go through everything in daylight and then low light, and then later on go through the video section. So sit back, relax, let's get into this one. And of course, what we're going to be doing is going through the pictures with the rear camera with me in the frame as a subject, starting from the furthest out and working our way in with the ultra wide 0.6x. And I'm looking at all these three and I can't really tell a difference between them. The only one I can really tell a difference is maybe the S25 Ultra, because the sky is a bit more saturated, there's a bit more contrast to me, but honestly they're pretty much the same. When we move over to the 1x, again, consistent, very much the same. Even the skies are really balanced out. I can't really tell much of a difference. Maybe slight saturation on the S25 Ultra, but yeah, that's pretty much it. When we go to the 2x, now I'm really seeing a difference. In terms of the color rendition, what I'm seeing on the Fold 7 and the Fold 6, definitely better on the 2x crop on the main wide sensor. The colors, not really to my liking too much on the S25 Ultra. That's me personally. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now we'll go into the 3x zoom mode. This is telephoto, so it's optical. So yeah, all three of them are looking really nice and clean. But in terms of the color rendition, I'm still preferring what I'm seeing on the Fold 7 and the Fold 6 compared to the S25 Ultra this time around. When we go into the 5x zoom mode, this is optical telephoto on the S25 Ultra, whereas on the Z Fold 7 and the 6, this is doing a crop on the 3x zoom lens that it's got. So right now, in terms of the image overall, the S25 Ultra does look better. I still do like the color rendition of what I'm seeing on the Fold 6, then followed by the Fold 7. That's just my preference, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's switch things up. Portrait mode now. And what's so strange about the state of portrait mode on the Fold 6 is the metadata picks it up as portrait mode. It just wasn't working. I could not tell you why. If I can put B-roll, I will show you that these pictures do show that it is portrait mode. There just isn't any blur. And of course I can add it after, but this is a problem that was happening all around. If we're looking at the blur though, between the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra, both are looking great. The overall image is nice and it does do its job there with the full coverage. Yes, you can see that some of the leaves on the top left with the branches don't blur out, but again, overall, I'm liking it. The gaps in between my arms are blurred out. We go into the 2x mode and yeah, things still stay consistent. I think the blur on both the S25 Ultra and the Fold 7 look fantastic. Fold 6 is not in the game and it's just not working. I do like the colors of the Fold 7 in my opinion, but again, it could be down to personal preference, people liking the more saturation on the S25 Ultra. Now, when we look at the 3x telephoto zoom mode, this is starting to look really nice and clean. Both are looking great and can't really pick between them apart from the colors. And I personally like the colors and the rendition of what I'm seeing on the Fold 7. When we go into the 5x zoom mode, again, you don't get this option on the Fold 6. You get this option on the Fold 7, but deceptively, this is doing a crop on the 3x. This isn't a 5x on a 200 megapixel sensor, so just bear that in mind. And at the time of this recording, it didn't look like the camera assistant application extension from the Galaxy Store was available. So maybe that might give you flexibility of how you can change it. But for now, that 5x is a crop on a 3x sensor on the Fold 7. So boy, when you look at the 5x portrait on the telephoto 5x on the S25 Ultra, way better. It just, look at it. It just, honestly, a 5x is definitely something that you're going to be missing when you move over to the Fold 7 if you decide to get it. Yeah, because having it there, it's really clutch on the S25 Ultra. Now let's look at the high resolution modes for JPEG on the main sensor. Now 12 megapixels, the usual bin mode, all of them look great, we've seen them before. But then when we move over, we do have 50 megapixels on all of them when it comes to being able to have that high resolution. A day like this where it's clear sky, sunny, that's when you want to be using these modes, because that's where you're going to get the best results. And you can see it really renders well across all of them. And then there is a 200 megapixel mode that is in reference to the Fold 7 and S25 Ultra. It's imperative you only use this mode on a bright sunny day like this. The more light gets into the sensor, as the pixels become smaller, the better. And so far you get the extra detail, so yeah, definitely take a look at that. Let's flip to the front facing camera and look at some selfies. And again, the sun was beaming right at me, which is great because it's a test of dynamic range and also exposure balance across the board. And all of them are looking great. I would say maybe to a slight extent, the Fold 7 really renders well, but honestly, there's nothing between them. And then when we go over to portrait mode, you can see that the edge detection and the blur is great on all of them. But what I notice is the field of view is much nicer on the Fold 7. This is a great improvement here, and I really like and appreciate what Samsung have done. Shout out to the homie and the bro Z Tech Care. Definitely go subscribe and watch his videos on the Fold 7 as well. Coming in clutch with the assist with the camera comparison, and with both of us in it, you can see that here's where the challenge comes in terms of skin tone exposure and light exposure all around. And I would say the S25 Ultra does this the best compared to all of them. Not much in between, but the S25 Ultra is looking good here. And also when it comes to background blur between both of us, with the plane of shift of focus, I would say that it's a challenge. Fold 6 did well, and then I'll say S25 Ultra, and then the Fold 7. Now, just for reference, I'm not going to be focusing on this too much, but I just wanted to show the difference between the UDC under display camera, which is 4 megapixels on the Z Fold 6, compared to the new 10 megapixel selfie that is on the Fold 7s in the display. Huge difference. That can record up to 4K 60 video with HDR and log as well. And of course, it's a much wider field of view. It is a much better camera. Whether you value that above having an all-screen experience with that clean look of what the UDC offered, it's up to you. But yeah, this is the image quality difference. Now let's switch over to the rear camera again and looking at the landscape environment images, and of course starting with the 0.6x ultra wide. And yeah, honestly, they all look the same. Can't really tell much of a difference. So really just down to how it renders, it is consistent across the board. Moving over to the 1x again, this is what we have when it comes to the image. And again, very similar performance, maybe slight saturation on the S25 Ultra, so I might prefer that image, but again, is really well balanced on the Fold 7, so that's also another good one as well. Now let's go into the 2x crop mode on the main wide sensor, and not much of a difference across all of them. I would say that the image balance on the Fold 7 is nicer, but all of them honestly are doing great. Let's go to the 3x optical zoom mode, and again, very similar performance because these 3x's are 10 megapixels and very similar in that sense. Where the difference really kicks in is when we do the extended zoom. We go to 5x, which is telephoto on the S25 Ultra, and there's a crop on what you have on a Fold 7 and a Fold 6. And again, it's gonna start walking away from it, and you will notice that when you get to the 10x, yeah, man, having that dedicated 5x at 50 megapixels with pixel binning, even down to 12 megapixels, the difference, like the S25 Ultra is just better all the way through. When we get to the 30x, you can notice it. Look at the ice cream sign, look at the ice cream van, and then look at the Cornetto, the Magnum, and you know, it's just the clarity, much better, even all the way up to 100x, as you can see here. Yeah, the S25 Ultra is walking away with it. Like I said, man, a 5x, boy, that's something that is a huge difference maker to a pro level and ultra camera experience when you have these flagships. And then a quick roundup of the high resolution modes. Again, this is the 12 megapixel bin. Then we move over to the 50 megapixel JPEG across the board for the main wide sensor. But what you do have the advantage of on the S25 Ultra is you can do the 50 megapixel JPEG on an ultra wide as well, because that's high resolution. You can do that also in the 5x telephoto zoom mode, which is great flexibility there. Again, really pushing that ultra camera experience. The only thing Samsung need to upgrade is the 3x zoom mode on, let's just say, the S26 Ultra next year. But for now, this is really good.
and of course the 200 megapixel mode, which is in reference to the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra, looking really strong and good over there as well for the landscape images, lots of detail and the correct date and environment with lots of daylight to really benefit from it. Let's turn off the lights here and get into some low light images with the Fold 7, the Fold 6 and the S25 Ultra. Now, if you've actually been here before, then you know how the low light images go through in terms of processing. But if this is your first time here and you appreciate this detailed, methodical approach to our definitive camera comparisons, then be sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos on the Lover of Tech channel. Road to 100,000 subscribers is still on the table for 2025, and with your support and engagement, we can still make it happen. Comeback season, baby. Let's get it in. What I like to do with my low light images is that I like to take it without night mode first, then with night mode on, and then flash where applicable. The reason is I want to actually show the image quality difference across the board, but also it's in relation to the capture speed experience. Night mode, for example, does take a while to actually capture, and it's something where you have to stay really still, whereas taking without night mode might be quicker and still yield good performance or even flash. So that's why I like to show it. Now let's look at the rear camera with me in the frame as the subject, starting with the ultra wide and looking across the board. Honestly, the performance is very similar across the board. Maybe the Fold 6 has a bit more flaring on the street lights, but again, very similar across the board. Let's move over to the 1X image, and it's quite slightly overpowered in the Fold 7. I think it's a slightly cleaner image on the S25 Ultra, and the Fold 6, honestly, I feel like the Fold 6 balance out really well here. Now going into the 2X crop mode, again, the image across the board is really clean, and I feel like it's clean on the Fold 6 and S25 Ultra. The Fold 7 maybe kind of misses it a little bit. The highlights on the skin is slightly higher than the others, but again, very small margins here. Now let's go into the 3X zoom mode. This is where things really muddy up across the board, and it muddies up a lot more on the Fold 7. Again, without camera assistant, you can't actually disable the auto lens switching, so potentially it might have been cropping it on the main wide sensor. Couldn't really tell you in this particular situation. Now when we go into the 5X zoom and crop mode, again, the camera assistant has disabled the auto lens switching on the S25 Ultra, so that is the 5X that is actually using, and again, you do get a better image there on the S25 Ultra compared to the other two. Now let's turn on night mode, and night mode, I've always said it, huge difference maker for the ultra wide. Definitely use night mode on the ultra wide where you can see the difference. I feel like the color balance is much better on the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra. Kind of missed it there on the Fold 6. Let's go into the 1X mode, and things are a bit overpowered in my opinion on the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra. The Fold 6 actually balances out here very nicely in my opinion. Let's go into the 2X mode, and again, as stated, the night mode in 2X is quite overpowered in the Fold 7. It probably needs to be tuned and toned down a little bit, and even on the S25 Ultra, I don't really like it too tough. It's quite grainy on the Fold 6, but yeah, I do like the color balance there, so yeah, it's a bit of a mix up here. Let's go into the 3X zoom mode, and yeah, definitely worth using night mode here. The Fold 6 did really struggle here. I would say the winner is the S25 Ultra, then the Fold 7. And when we go into the 5X mode, yeah, it's the S25 Ultra all the way. Yes, the exposure isn't like overly high, but it's really well balanced. And looking at the lamps at the back and everything, a really nice clean image. Definitely goes to the S25 Ultra. Now let's do this again with flash. What you're gonna know is, in terms of usability improvement, is that you can use the flashlight with the ultra wide lens on the Fold 7. This is something you couldn't do on the Fold 6, and it's something you couldn't do on the previous S24 series and you can do on the S25 Ultra. I'm one of the only few people on the internet that was really hammering the lack of this feature and usability away, and I guess Samsung listened, maybe to me, who knows, but I'm glad to see it here. Now when we go into the 1X wide sensor, we can see the flash really working well across the board. Quite overpowering on the Fold 7, but again, I'd rather have this and not. I do like the S25 Ultra image best. Now, when we get into the 2X crop mode with the flash, again, it balances well on the S25 Ultra. Quite overpowered on the Fold 7, and it's quite soft on the Fold 6. Now with the 3X zoom mode, again, very even. You do see a bit of red eye on the S25 Ultra. I do like the Fold 7 one a lot more here. Slightly softer image on the Fold 6. And when we go all the way to the 5X, again, none of them really pay dividends and do well. So I would say that all of them, not as good as each other, and it's pretty much down to maybe the Fold 6. Now let's run it all again with portrait mode. I stated it already. For whatever reason, the metadata picks up that it is portrait mode on the Fold 6. It's not working. And if I can put B-roll, I will show you again. But yeah, it's pretty much not involved in this one. It's between the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra. And I have to say, pound for pound, they're trading blows. They're as good as each other. Maybe the S25 Ultra has better colors, but if we're looking at purely the edge detection and the blur quality, both of them are on par. This is a good look and exactly what we want from an Ultra experience. Let's go into the 2x zoom mode and crop on the main wide sensor. And again, probably still the S25 Ultra that edges it. It does have nicer colors, but again, when we're looking at the blur quality, intensity, and the edge detection, both are on par, exactly what we want. Great look from the Fold 7. Let's go into the 3x mode, and again, pound for pound, trading blows. Slightly softer and grainy image maybe in terms of noise, but with what focusing on the blur and the edge detection, on point on both. Great stuff, no complaints. 5x, yeah, definitely S25 Ultra here. It definitely takes it. The edge detection and the blur is good on the Fold 7, but the overall image is better on the S25 Ultra. But at least blur and edge detection in between the gaps of my arms, that's why I posed that way. Yeah, good on both. And now let's do this with night mode on portrait. That's one thing I love about Samsung. They allow you to use night mode and portrait mode together. Not many manufacturers allow that, so great ultra experience when it comes to taking pictures. I would say it's the S25 Ultra again for this one. The night mode is just too overpowered on the Fold 7, but again, if we're looking at the blur and the edge detection, both are on par. So if we're judging the portrait mode, I'm happy with both. 2x, again, this is the same situation. The blur and the edge detection are great. The night mode is a bit overpowered on the Fold 7, even though the image is cleaner and more detailed this time around, so I'll give it that. And then again, 3x portrait mode with the blur and the edge detection and the gaps in between my arm works great, no complaint, good stuff there. And then when we go to the 5x mode, again, pound for pound. So I'll be honest, Samsung have done well with the consistency of the blur and the edge detection. It's just a color rendition. The overall image does look nice on the S25 Ultra because of that dedicated 5x. Now, again, usability wise, you do get the ability to use flash with portrait mode. I love this on Samsung. We've removed the Fold 6 because it's just not working, so let's just remove it out the way. And in this situation, again, the overall image does look nice on the S25 Ultra, but honestly, pound for pound blur, it just looks clean on both. Going into the 2x mode, again, the blur intensity is a bit higher on the Fold 7. Again, it is on the default, it's just how it processes it, but overall, I like what I'm seeing on here. The overall image is nice on the S25 Ultra, I would say. Now, 3x, again, this is par on course for both. Blur detection, blur quality, edge detection is great across the board, no problem. Again, potentially you could say the overall image is nice on the S25 Ultra, but with a bit of tuning, the Z Fold 7, this is looking good. And then 5x, again, yes, a cleaner image overall on the S25 Ultra, so it wins it. But if we're judging the blur and the ability to detect and actually do it, yeah, this is great on both, no complaints there. Okay, let's flip to the front facing camera and look at some selfies. And again, same sequence. We're going to take them without night mode, then with night mode, and flash where applicable. And these are the images that we're getting without night mode, and they all look really good. I'll probably say between the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra, they're the two best. Let's activate night mode, and again, all of them really take advantage of it well, and I think the S25 Ultra does look the best, and then the Fold 7 and then the Fold 6. Now with the front screen flash, and it's a very subtle effect. I kind of like more of what I'm seeing on the Fold 7 and then the S25 Ultra and then the Fold 6, but some might prefer the Fold 6. Now let's do this again with portrait mode, and without night mode on, the portrait mode still works. This is impressive. I really like what I'm seeing here. When we activate the night mode, the image does get brighter, slightly softer, and again, this is the experience with night mode, right? You have to stay really still, but overall it really improves it. The edge detection and the blur is excellent, especially from what I'm seeing on the S25 Ultra and the Fold 7. Fold 6 is doing well as well. And then with the front screen flash, the blur is harder to see because it's just much more central focus, but again, overall it's there and it's subtle and it's nice. And last set of low light images with the rear camera looking at the landscape, and starting with the ultra wide. Here we can see there's more lens flaring on the Fold 6, but overall they're quite muddy, and I think night mode will really help it here. Let's go to the 1X and look at what we're working with. With the 1X, yeah, overall, all of them are looking really good and handling it well. I like what I'm seeing. I pretty much have no complaints when it comes to that. And then when we go into the 2X mode, you can pretty much see that it is, of course, cropping in on the main wide sensor, and this is what we're getting in terms of the image quality. It is still fairly clean across the board, which is great to see. That's a great consistency. Going into the 3X zoom mode, again, this is something where the noisy part of the image does rise up a little bit more, because again, it's a low resolution 10 megapixel 3X small sensor, so just that to consider. When we go into the 5X zoom mode, this is the telephoto being shown on the S25 Ultra, whereas the other two are cropping. The image on the Fold 6 really softens up, whereas the Fold 7, it might have actually been cropping in on the main wide sensor. Again, this is what we're getting. Let's run it back with night mode, and again, night mode on the ultra wide, highly recommend using it on a regular basis where you can see the difference. Again, more lens flaring on the Fold 6, but things hold up really well on the S25 Ultra than the Fold 7. Now on the 1X, you can see that things even up really well. Now the sky does purple up a bit more on the Fold 6, so if you look at the colors, it does change, whereas on the S25 Ultra and the Fold 7, much more consistent, so I prefer it there. And 2X crop, again, much more consistent on the S25 Ultra and the Fold 7 in night mode. And then with the 3X, again, things clean up nicely on all of them. Slightly overpowered a little bit on the Fold 6, but yeah, things look really nice and clean on the S25 Ultra and the Fold 7. And then with the 5X, you can see that things just look really good on the S25 Ultra. It wins it. Softer image on the Fold 6, and then the Fold 7 really balances out well. Now we've analyzed the photos for daylight and low light, it's time for the video section. Now the best way to watch this part of the camera comparison is on the largest display possible at the highest resolution at 4K 60 FPS with headphones on, so you can hear the audio quality with the audio switching between the devices. There will be chapters linked in the description below, but of course, sit back, relax, get your meal, get your popcorn, get your drink, because this will be a detailed one.
So we are now recording on the front facing camera in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy Z Fold 7, Fold 6 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And we're just seeing how the image quality is like, colors, detail, dynamic range, and of course, video image stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording on the front-facing camera, now in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy Z Fold 7, the Fold 6 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're just seeing how the image quality is like. Detail, sharpness, colors, dynamic range, and of course, video image stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're now recording still in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode, now in the video portrait mode in 4K 30 on the Z Fold 7, Fold 6 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. This is really good. For the Fold devices, this is on the outer cover display, just to be clear. And we're just going to go through some of the benefits that we've got here, because what it does look like is Samsung have taken away the ability to have flexibility while you're recording with video portrait mode. You can still pause and continue on the same clip. You can't take pictures. You no longer have the ability to change the blur intensity on the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra. If you look at the Fold 6 here, this is the benefit you have. While you're recording, you can reduce the blur to 0, go all the way up to 7, come back to 5, and you've got the different portrait blur effects. So you've got blur, big circle, color point, glitch. This is all been taken away on the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra. I can't tell you why Samsung have done this. No reason to, but they have. We're now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the rear cameras, starting with the 1X on the Fold 7 versus the Fold 6 and the S25 Ultra. Test how the image quality is like, colors, detail, sharpness, dynamic range, and of course, video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. All three camera systems allow you to switch between their main cameras when in 4K 30 without having to stop recording, which is great. We're now on the 0.6x ultra wide. Let's do a quick run. Let's go to 2x, 2x, 2x. This is just a slow walk. We're now going to switch to 3x, which is optical on all three. Again, another slow walk. And then we're going to switch to 5x, which is optically favoring what we're seeing on the S25 Ultra 5x. Let's come back to the 1x. 1x. Now, of course, what you have got is flexibility to pause the video and continue on the same clip, take pictures without having to stop recording. And what's good about Samsung cameras, they've been doing this for years now, you can switch to the front-facing camera when you are recording. So as you can see, you do face the front-facing camera. You don't have to stop recording. And you can still continue on the same clip.
Are you live streaming?
No, testing.
Oh, you're testing?
Yeah, camera testing.
Hello, check
Hi.
1-1, check 2-2.
Follow and subscribe.
Can I say hi? Who am I saying hi to?
You're saying hi to Lover of Tech. That's the YouTube channel.
Hi,
Yeah.
Oh my god, lover of tech.
Yes.
Lover of tech.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hi, lover of tech.
Yeah, spontaneous moments like that happen all the time, which is really good. We're still recording on a rear-facing camera, now in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode, starting on the 1X, on the Galaxy Z Fold 7, Fold 6, and the S25 Ultra. Test the image quality, sharpness, detail, dynamic range, and of course video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. So, first improvement you're going to see from the Fold 6 to the Fold 7 is the flexibility to switch between the rear camera lenses while recording in 4K 60 without having to stop recording. So, you can see we can go to 0.x, 0.6x, 0.6x, and this is on the Fold 7 and the S25 Ultra. On the Fold 6, you can pause recording and continue on the same clip. You can even switch to the selfie. But if you want to switch to the ultra wide or the 3x or 2x with the crop on the main wide sensor, you have to stop recording and change lenses. It doesn't allow you to do it on the fly, like what you have here with the S25 Ultra, 2x, 3x, 5x, 1x. And now you can do that with the Fold 7, 1x, 2x, 3x, 0.6x, 1x. You do have to change it and stop on the Fold 6. So we're still in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the Fold 7, Fold 6 and S25 Ultra. We've now switched to the 0.6x for the Fold 6 because it cannot do that on the fly. As demonstrated, that is the flexibility that you get in terms of usability on the camera with the Fold 7 as an upgrade on a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset. Still in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode, we switched to the 3x optical, again to favor the Fold 6 because it cannot do this and switch on the fly. You have to stop recording. So again, if this matters to you in 4K 60, you want the maximum lens flexibility and switchability when you're shooting there, you want to upgrade to the Fold 7 or of course the S25 Ultra. And then of course you can go into 5x on the S25 Ultra. And you've got the flexibility to go to the 1X. But of course, with the Fold 6, it is trapped. Now, in hindsight, again, you get the same flexibility where you can pause recording, continue on the same clip, take pictures at the same time, and you can flip to the front-facing camera when recording in 4K 60 on all 3 camera systems. So adjusting and compensating. This is still great flexibility from Samsung, one of the only companies to still allow you to do this. But again, you're seeing the usability upgrade moving to the Fold 7 in 4K 60. We are now recording in the 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the rear cameras for the Fold 7, Fold 6, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We're doing this on a 1X sensor to start things off, and we're testing the image quality, sharpness, detail, dynamic range, and of course, the video stabilization. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording in the 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the Fold 7, Fold 6, and the S25 Ultra. But the advantage you have with the S25 Ultra is that you can do 8K 30 on the ultra wide 0.6 because it is using a high resolution 50 megapixel sensor. So you've got the flexibility to shoot that. You can't switch on the fly. You have to stop recording and then switch to the 0.6x. Nonetheless, you do have 8K 30 frames a second video recording on the ultra wide on the S25 Ultra. Still recording in the 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode, but again, the advantage you do have with the S25 Ultra is that you can do this with the 5x periscope super telephoto, because again, it is high resolution at 50 megapixels, so you get that same flexibility, and this is not something you get on the Fold 7. We are now in the super steady mode in the QHD 60 frames a second video recorder mode. We're in the 1X sensor mode, and we're just seeing how it is with a fast run. Still in a super steady mode in QHD 60 FPS, we've now switched it to the 0.6x lens, doing a heavy run. Still in a super steady mode, QHD 60 FPS. We've gone into the 2X mode. This is only available on the S25 Ultra. With the Fold 7 and the Fold 6, they don't have a 2X option. So let's do a heavy run. We are now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on a main 1X wide sensor on the Fold 7, the Fold 6, and the S25 Ultra. With me in the frame as a subject, we're just seeing how the image quality is like. And of course, we are going to switch to the 0.6x to see how the ultra wide looks as well. So if we switch to the 0.6x right now, now, let's just get close and see, because we should have autofocus on the ultra wide now for the Fold 7 and see if it tracks well and how the minimum focusing is like. And go back to the 1X. We're still recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the Fold 7, Fold 6, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And this is now in the 2X main sensor crop mode. Again, we're just seeing how the image quality is like with me in the frame as the subject. We're still recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the S25 Ultra, Fold 7 and Fold 6, 4K 30, now in the 3X zoom mode. This is optically favoring all 3 lenses. We're just seeing how the image quality is like with me in the frame as the subject. We're still recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the S25 Ultra, Fold 7 and Fold 6. We've now gone into the 5X zoom mode. This optically favors the S25 Ultra. So let's see how the image quality is like. We're now recording in the 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the main 1X sensor on the Fold 7, Fold 6, and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Of course, we're now just seeing how the image quality is like with the new sensor on the Fold 7. Let's see how it matches up to the S25 Ultra and the Fold 6. We're still in the 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the Fold 7, Fold 6 and the S25 Ultra. But as you can see, the S25 Ultra has the advantage of doing 8K 30 on the ultra wide. This is something you don't get on the Fold 7 and the Fold 6. Great advantage on the S25 Ultra. We're still in the 8K 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the Fold 7 and the Fold 6 and the S25 Ultra. Again, you can see S25 Ultra has the ability to do this in the 5x optical zoom, because that 5x is 50 megapixels, which is exactly what you need to be able to do 8K video, and the S25 Ultra does it. Great stuff. We're now recording in the respective video portrait mode on the Fold 7, Fold 6 and also the Galaxy S25 Ultra 4K 30, and we're seeing it on the 1X to see how the edge detection and the image quality is like with me in the frame as the subject for the 1X rear camera. Still in the respective video portrait mode in 4K UHD 30 frames a second on the Fold 7, Fold 6 and the S25 Ultra. We are in the 3X zoom mode. We're just going straight into the maximum to see how the image quality is like across all three camera systems. We are now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the main rear 1X wide camera on a Fold 7, Fold 6 and the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Of course, we're just seeing how the low light image performance is across the board. Seeing the lens flaring. Color rendition. Let's go ultra wide. Ultra wide. Let's do 2x. 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 For X, for X, for X. X. 5X. Back to 1X. Back to 1X. Back to 1X. We're now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on a selfie camera for the Fold 7, Fold 6 and the S25 Ultra. We're just seeing how the front facing camera performance is 4K 30 in low light. Still recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode. We've switched to their respective video portrait mode for the selfie camera, and we're just seeing if it picks up in low light. This is definitely going to be a challenge for the front facing cameras and in general, so let's just see. So we're now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames a second video recorder mode on the main 1X rear camera on the Fold 7 versus the Fold 6 versus the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now with me in the frame as the subject, we're just seeing how the low light performance is. Let's switch to the ultra wide 0.6 on all of them. I usually wouldn't recommend using an ultra wide because it's a smaller sensor. Let's just see if the autofocus works well, especially with the Fold 7. And then switch back to the 1x on all of them. We're still recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode. We've switched their respective video portrait mode with the background blur on all of them. Now, we're just gonna see how well it picks up with edge detection and the whole overall blur quality. It's hard to do at low light, but let's see how they all perform across the board. Now here's just a quick wrap up of my general thoughts and conclusions as we've pretty much gone through everything for the photos and videos of this camera comparison. This is definitely a major camera system upgrade for the Fold series and does give us near enough an ultra experience. When I say near enough an ultra experience, here's some of the benefits that you get. That 200 megapixel sensor is great. The ultra wide is a great improvement. Again, not on a high resolution, high sensor level as the ultra, but still a great improvement. And the dispersion of the UDC camera is great. That new 10 megapixel camera is great when it comes to the image quality, but also the field of view. I really like it. A bit of tuning for colors maybe to favor that of what the S25 Ultra is, but overall I love the performance of what I'm seeing. The real caveat that you have to take into consideration is the lack of a 5x zoom. This 10 megapixel 3x honestly is really getting outdated now. It's not that great anymore, and I really wish they had the lens combination of the old Note 20 Ultra. Remember, they had a main camera, an ultra wide, and a 5x dedicated zoom. I wish this is something they do. If they can't put a 3x and a 5x, honestly, sacrifice a 5x and give us, even if it's a high quality 12 megapixel 5x, that will do. But we definitely need a 5x or at least a 4x to really see an improvement change. And this is something that is going to be a struggle to leave the Ultra and move over to the Fold 7 for. But again, that's my conclusion and roundup. Now that is it with this definitive camera comparison between the Fold 7, the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and the Fold 6. What are your thoughts on this? Were you expecting more, or is this in line with exactly what you thought would happen between these devices? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.